So you and I spoke a lot in spring training about the pitch clock.
Yep.
Obviously, spring training a little different. The adjustment, regular games, is it different for you?
It's definitely different. Starting to get used to it a little bit now. I think the biggest adjustment is when you have those long innings. It really speeds up on you. Like you kind of you see yourself catching your breath a little bit. I had a 28 pitch inning in Milwaukee, and I think I got to pitch like 22, 23. And Omar came out and talked to me, and I actually really needed that because I was kind of sucking air a little bit, and things start to speed up on you. So it's an adjustment, but everybody's dealing with it, and I think it'll just keep getting better as the year goes.
I know everyone's spoken about it. Max has had his opinions on it, and he's saying maybe different time, maybe the umpire's discretion. But as a guy who comes in those high leverage situations, fast forward postseason.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe based on score, based on certain situations in later innings, maybe that could be a possible tweak? And would you embrace something like that?
100%. I mean, postseason, what makes it so great is the suspense, is the time in between pitches, late in the game, it's just the suspense building is what makes it so fun and so great. And I think I would love to see a little adjustment to that, especially later in games. And we've mentioned some things around the clubhouse, it'd be cool if once the 7th inning came, you just suspend the pitch clock. First 6 innings helps speed the game up, and then the last 3 innings you can really enjoy it and have the suspense build. So hopefully they look into that stuff. They seem to like how it's going so far. So we'll see, but I definitely in postseason I like to see maybe the pitch clock extended a little bit at least.
I spoke to Brandon on opening day here, and it's interesting because the leadoff guys, a lot of times they set that table and they have those long, prolonged at bats, fouling off pitches and being selective. And even though they're still having those prolonged at bats, they're in a shorter period. As a pitcher, is that more harmful than when you have the ability to slow it down and regain the endurance?
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it speeds you up big time, and those long at bats are going to take a toll on you. You have 2 long at bats in a row, and you're kind of gassed, you're exhausted, and I'm sure the hitter's the same way. You got a 12 pitch at bat, it's just constantly swinging or getting in the box, swinging, less time to think, less time to know what pitch you want to throw, and you really have to be on the same page with your catcher because you start shaking once or twice, and then you look and the pitch clock's at 3. So I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play, and that's definitely one of them.
So obviously, I'm older, and I remember the games when it was like that, and pitchers just worked. Back in the day, pitchers did a lot of running, in between starts. Yeah. What does the training staff offer to try and build up so you're not gassed after those long at-bats?
We do conditioning every day. Nothing's really changed with that, but I personally think that short endurance bursts, we have a watt bike, and you do 10 seconds on fast, and then you take 15 seconds off, and then 10 seconds on fast, and you take 15 seconds off. And I think that kind of serves as kind of like how you would be pitching. Maybe not 10 seconds, maybe it's 5, but that definitely helps, and it kind of simulates what you'd be on the mound, and then you get that 15 seconds kind of in between, and then you do quick bursts again. So I've been doing that, and I think it'll help over time. But definitely conditioning is a bigger aspect now for pitchers, 100%.
And lastly, obviously, spring training, you were developed. I mean, is there a noticeable difference? Now that the regular season, can you feel the difference?
Yeah, 100%. I do feel like it's the same time, but it's quicker. And once the season starts, I don't know why. It's hard to explain, but it does seem quicker in an actual game than it did in spring training. And they're still enforcing it the same, which is, I thought maybe they were just making a point about it in spring training, and they might give you a little bit of leeway in season, but they're sticklers, and if they hit 0 and you're just lifting your legs, sometimes they'll even call it. But the other day I had Odor was at 6 seconds not in the box, and they didn't give him a strike, so I was a little annoyed about that, because I was like, if I'm not pitching at 0, I'm 100% getting the ball. But it is what it is, and we'll all have to deal with it.
And one other question because of that. So because of the clock also, as a reliever, there are those adrenaline spikes.
Yeah.
How do you temp that down in such a short period of time?
You don't really you can't. I personally like the adrenaline. I like pitching on adrenaline. So even the less time in between pitches, once I come in the game, it's almost like my adrenaline spike is just steady. Sometimes previously you could get it down a little bit, or if you needed to catch your breath, you could. But now it's my heart rate and the adrenaline is constant throughout the whole inning, which that part I do kind of like, because I think I pitch better on adrenaline.
Awesome.